Welcome to Precon Powers with the Nitpicking Nerds.
This time we're upgrading the Naya Precon Cabaretti Cacophony for only $50.
What's a cacophony? I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, BZ, joined by Amber, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily magic videos. If you want to support the channel and maybe Amber, you can go to the TCG Player affiliate link we have in the description. Buy whatever cards you're going to buy anyway. When you start with the link and check out, we get a kickback courtesy of TCG Player for no extra money on your part.
Yes, and also we have to shout out our sponsor for this video, Maxfield.com. Not only do they sponsor this video, they sponsor the whole entire channel.
We're going to get a sneak attack ad, and you're never going to see it coming. I'm sorry.
Well,
it's just not possible.
How could you? It's a sneak attack. Also, happy birthday to everybody whose birthday is today. And BZ, which patron is getting a shout out? This is their video. What's their name?
Simon Road. This is your video. I hope you like Cabaretti.
You better, or else nothing you can do. So, Precon Power-Ups. What is it? Well, we take the Precon. We take $50 worth in cards, and we smash them together to make an awesome, functional deck. We're doing 30 total changes for the deck. We're not overhauling the whole thing. Just doing, well, approximately 30% of the deck's changes. So the very first thing that we have to do before cutting cards, adding cards, figuring out budget. No, before we do any of that, we got to tell you who the commander is so we can see what this deck's focused on. And it is Kit Kanto, Mayhem Diva. 1 red, green, white legendary creature, Cat Bard Druid 3/3. When Kit Kanto enters the battlefield, create a 1/1 green and white citizen creature token. At the beginning of combat on each player's turn, you may tap 2 untapped creatures you control. When you do, target creature that player controls gets +2/+2 and gains trample until end of turn. Goad that creature. Goad says until your next turn, that creature must attack, and it can't attack you if able.
Yeah, this is a pretty sweet one. We're trying to goad the creatures over and over and over, and to do that, we're going to need a bunch of tokens. So the game plan is to create tokens, goad our opponent's creatures, and then gain advantage when our creatures are tapped, because we got a free way to tap them all the time.
Yeah, we're going to make a ton of tokens, and then with our sending creatures at each other, our opponents are going to be weakened, get down in life, and then we're just going to use an overrun type effect to get through and destroy our opponents. All right, so the first thing we do with every Precon power-up is we cut the cards that absolutely 110% do not fit our game plan. First cut is Selvala Explorer Returned. It has Parlay, it makes mana. I don't really understand what this does in their deck at all.
It's like a group hug card, but unless you're going really hard on the synergy with specifically Selvala, and like parlaying multiple times and making sure that you can add the mana and that your opponents might not even get another turn with all the cards you're letting them draw, it's just not worth it. So we're just not gonna play this random group hug card that doesn't. I mean, there's some synergy, but not enough that I want to give away cards.
Not at all. We also cut Zorthoth, Chaos Rider. Is it Zorthoth? Is it Zorthoth? What would you?
Let's just leave it at that. I think you nailed it.
Yeah, Zorthoth, Chaos Rider. This is also some weird Make Devils card. The tokens are not easy to make.
I don't want them to draw extra cards.
And I don't want them to draw extra cards, so I'll just pass on this card because it doesn't fit our deck.
Yeah, Seize the Spotlight is like active treason unless they give you cards, but there's actually no incentive for them to not just let the active treason happen because we can't sacrifice creatures in this deck. We don't have any way to like punish them for giving us a creature for a turn. It's not that strong.
Yeah, it's a fine card, but not in this deck at all. We also got Scepter of Celebration. We do want to make tokens, and that sort of fits the theme, but we don't have big creatures, not big enough to ever put this Scepter on and it be worth it.
Yeah, all our dudes are tiny, and then by the time they are big, we're just attacking with 100 of them. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, and we also got Best Soul Nourisher. This is not a 1/1 deck. This is just, we will make tokens, but they'll be whatever size we want them to be.
We don't need to like adhere to Best's restrictions. She can go cook somewhere else. Now we get to add cards that do fit the game plan, and this is going to be some of the other cards that help punish people for having board states, just in general. I mean, Frenzied Saddleroot gives all the creatures on the battlefield haste as long as they're attacking our opponents, which means all our stuff just has haste, and all their stuff is, hey, do you want to deal some free damage? It's up to you.
It's basically like they're goaded. It's like a mini goad. They're not forced to attack, but why would they not attack for some free damage?
If it benefits them, great, because it also doesn't benefit one of your opponents, which benefits you.
Also, if they want to play a card out before combat, you can also goad that one. I don't know that they would do that on purpose all the time, but you could.
Right, and if they do, you force it to attack right away because it could do it. There's also Disrupt Decorum, which goads all creatures we don't control. Straight up, one time for an entire turn, nothing is coming at us. We don't have to worry about it, and we can punch whoever we want, and everyone else is going to be getting punched. And then they're going to be left with no defenses for all of our creatures and tokens.
Yeah, exactly. Marisi, Breaker of the Coil, just another Goad card. We're really getting into the Goad feel here. Marisi it was already a Goad commander. Well, let's put the Goad commander in our 99 of our new Goad commander.
Yeah, this deck, let's lean into the Goad. That's like the most fun part, really the only part about this commander. So let's actually do that. Especially with Geode Rager, Landfall, Goad everything somebody controls. This is for the rest of the game. People are just going to be goaded. They have to get rid of this.
In a combat meta, I think this card is absolutely incredible. It's goading every single creature a player controls. You're just going to force everyone to be at each other's throats, even if they don't want to be.
Yeah, this is really brutal. We figured out in 3 players. So if somebody's gone, somebody gets eliminated, and there's only 2, you know what has to happen. They're just going to chuck everything at each other.
They have to. They literally do not have a choice.
Next, we got a card that it just proven to be like completely crazy. This card is really, really aggressive. It's Crescendo of War. So every upkeep, it gets a strife counter, and then all creatures are going to get +1/+0 for each strife counter on it. But if you block, your blocking creatures get +0/+1 for each strife counter. So it kind of cancels out if you have blockers. But if you don't have blockers, the game is over in like 5 seconds, because by the time it gets back to you, every creature has +4/+0. This card just goes bananas.
It's silly. It's silly numbers, and we're a go wide deck, so we'll be able to take advantage of just to the max.
But we're also goading things and forcing them to attack. So if Crescendo of War is sitting in play, it's like creatures have +6/+0, +2/+2 trample. Get them. Like, all right.
And it has to get them. There's no other choice. They have to get them.
Yeah, with goading in general, it's just going to totally end games. They're going to be, it's like an overrun for creatures we don't even have that are working for us.
All right, so now we have to do some adds and cuts, and this is around the tokens, the things that make tokens, the things that pay off tokens. Token cuts. What we cut first, Assemble the Legion, just too slow for Commander overall. I know this is a cool card. I know people like this card, but it's really, really slow, and we have room to upgrade it.
Oh, you want slow? How about Sandworm Convergence? It's 8 mana for basically a 5/5, and then you get more of them as it goes on. This just 8 mana is, I want an overrun at like 6 mana. I don't need here's a 5/5 at 8 mana. Just the deterring attackers almost irrelevant because we're just goading things anyway, so I don't know what this is doing.
Yeah, I agree completely. Killer Service. We're not interested in paying 2 mana at the end of turn to turn one token into another token. It's just not very good overall, so it's an easy cut.
Yeah, Awakening Zone's got, Bitter Blossom Syndrome, where it's like only once a turn, only once each upkeep. We have much better ways of making tokens, and we don't care that they're Eldrazi.
Yeah, not even a little bit. Intangible Virtue, you can also get out of here. It's a payoff, but it's a anthem. We've talked about it. We're not a huge fan of +1/+1 unless you're overloading on those effects throughout your deck with like 4 or 5, 6 of them, where you can reliably have 2 or 3 on the battlefield. 1 in a random deck, no thank you.
Vigilance is nice. It works with the Kit Kanto's tap ability, but we got other ways to give pseudo vigilance. Sizzling Soloist wants tokens to enter because the Alliance will trigger and we can force things to attack. It's just not efficient.
Yeah, not even close. Kazul, Tyrant of the Cliffs. I don't know how you're going to make yourself get a token with this. You're goading people to not attack you already. This is bad. This is like anti-synergy.
Yeah, we don't need like Ghostly Prison and Kazul. We don't need to deter them from not attacking us because we're forcing them not to attack us.
Absolutely. Cabaretti Charms stinks. We don't like the charms. I don't know if
I think we cut every single one from every deck.
I don't think we've made that clear in Commander. We don't like the charm cycle from the set.
Yep, Vivian Stampede is nice. It's a kind of an overrun, but it asks a little too much, so we can just cut it.
It's like the 7th or 8th best overrun
on a budget.
We added some other ones.
Right. Cabaretti Confluence, also kind of a weird overrun.
But it doesn't give trample.
Right. It's just like a bad modes all around.
Yeah, exactly. The Confluence is pretty weak overall. So we didn't add that much in pure token makers because the deck was super high already on pure token makers, and we're going to mention some more that just they weren't pure token makers. Loyal Apprentice, totally great. Every combat we're going to get a 1/1 as long as we have a commander. That 1/1 is going to be used to goad. This gives us 2 bodies for 2 mana. That is a efficient rate, and if you go around the table once, now it's 3 bodies.
Right. Unlike Awakening Zone, which is 0 bodies for 3 mana.
Yeah.
And then you go around and get 1. It's like, no, thank you. We also added Rabble Rousing, which is a sweet one. It's going to like kind of card draw because we're going to get to 9 creatures easily. Attack with whatever we have that's expendable. We got plenty of stuff. Double it on defense. Have plenty of ammo for Kit Kanto. Get through some damage. Cast a spell for free. It's great. And I also want to shout out just one of my favorite cards. For some reason, I don't know why I like this card so much. Dragon Lair Spider. Whenever they cast a spell, we get a token, which means we can even tap out and attack with a bunch of creatures on the turn we play this because Kit Kanto in this, all right, that's one goad. Then they're going to cast a spell or two. That's the spiders or the insects ready for the next player to goad something they have.
Yeah, and everyone was about to go to the comment section about rabble-rousing. Don't worry, BZ will one day remember it's 10 cards.
10.
10 creatures and not
You know what it
9.
is? It's 9 cards for the blue version in the cycle.
It's also 9 for Jetmir.
See?
I think that's what confuses you. No, it's 10 for rabble-rousing. Don't comment. We know.
They've already commented.
We messed it up.
They're commenting now.
All right, so tap synergies. We have things that work with our creatures being tapped, untapping them, stuff like that. First and foremost for cuts, and lastly for cuts in this category is False Floor. This card just kind of stinks. And yeah, it kind of synergizes with their deck. Kinda, but our creatures also enter tap, which means we can't goad with them. It's like a Nambo / synergy. I'm not interested.
Yeah, tap synergy, not really a thing that existed in this deck. And we were like, well, hey, this looks like a really interesting way to go with this Precon, and we can do it on a budget. So we've just basically added a whole theme to the deck of like, hey, caring when our creatures and why our creatures get tapped.
Absolutely. I want to mention right now that we spent probably $15, $20 to the budget on this untapping thing because I think it is such a powerful thing for the deck to be
check
doing.
out the cards we get to add. First one, Quest for Renewal. When our creatures become tapped, which they will be easily, it gets counters, and then it's like a Seedborn Muse once we get enough counters, and Kit Kanto loves that.
Yeah, absolutely. And literally, after that, we added the actual Seedborn Muse. This thing's like $8, and it ate up a chunk of our budget, but I think this deck absolutely, with 100% certainty, wanted this card. I don't think there's a better add to this deck than this card. Like, this is like, first card I think of when I want to build this deck is Seedborn Muse. If we can get it in our budget, I want to.
Yeah, even just Kit Kanto, Seedborn Muse, and the token that she makes, that's enough to goad every single time.
Every
turn.
single turn, which is amazing.
Drumbeller, same exact thing. All our creatures now untap every untap step. It doesn't give lands, and we can't like activate abilities and stuff over and over. But we'll take the worse version that still synergizes.
We absolutely, these 3 cards, once they get going, they 100% guarantee a goad each time, not each time around the table, a goad each turn around the table.
And they also happen to work incredibly well with every card we're about to mention.
Like Amara, Soul of the Accord. When it becomes tapped, we get a 1/1. That is absolutely insanely perfect for this deck. All the untapped synergy is going to be perfect with it. Tap it, get a token. A worse version of that, but still good in this deck. Stony Brook Schoolmaster. It's not quite a legend. It's not quite a 2/2.
A legend doesn't matter.
No, but it's just worse.
It's one more mana.
It's 1 more mana, and it's a merfolk, a white merfolk.
Oh yeah, wow.
We hate white
That's
merfolks.
what a bad card. White merfolk.
But it also becomes tapped to make a 1/1.
Unlicensed Hearse is going to keep graveyards in check over time, exiling them, and then it'll slowly grow its power. And with Kit Kanto, we haven't really mentioned this yet, but you can do it with your own stuff. So on your turn, once this thing has gotten like 8 activations over the course of last turn, make it a 12/12 or a 10/10, and then just attack somebody with it.
Yeah, random graveyard hate that just happens to also synergize really well with all of our untapped synergies. Glare of Subdual. This is a mean card. It's what is it? Oppression.
It is
fair
not
oppression.
Nice. Yeah, tap an untapped creature you control. Tap an artifact or creature. No one's blocking. We're forcing attacks when it's not our turn. So we go, all right, go to your best creature. Tap our 2 things. Tap the rest of our things to eliminate all blockers on the person's side we want them to attack, and then tap all the other attackers so nothing else can happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and then if we combine this with any of our untap every single turn things, how are we losing? The answer is really, we're not. That's really just going to be pretty much a soft lock.
Right, yeah. I guess what you actually would do is you goad their best thing. When they attack, they have to pick somebody to attack. Now that you know who they're attacking, tap their blockers so they just can't block.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're just in full control. BZ, what's the next one?
It is Null Mage Shepherd. So we tap 4 untapped creatures, naturalize. This is going to be repeatable times a million. We're never going to stop doing this. They have to get rid of this or they're not going to be able to keep an artifact or enchantment on the board at all.
Yeah, we're just going to freely get rid of them every single time. We also added Curse of Bounty, which is like another mini Quest for Renewal, Seedborn Muse. Whenever, what's really awesome about this card is you curse somebody, and whenever they get attacked, you and that player untap your non-land permanents. You're just going to goad whoever the other players are to attack them. It's
right.
going
They don't
to
have
happen.
to, but there's only 2 players each opponent can attack. That's half of them. If they have the better board, what are you going to do? Just not attack them?
Exactly. It's like, and plus they get some advantage out of this. It's not
Right.
like they don't get anything out of the attack. So
They'd get to leave their creatures up on defense, and you could say, hey, don't you want to have defenses for when I'm about to goad the other 2 players?
and if you're ever in the position of a 3-player game where one player's been eliminated, you just basically get to force the attack
It is nasty.
onto that player, which is totally going to, it's just going to be a little seedboard muse.
Yeah, Midnight Guard is not a good card. It's 2 and a white for a 2/3. Whenever another creature enters, you untap it. So there is some synergy already, even just with that like mediocre line, because Kit Kanto and him will just tap something. Creature's gonna enter. So if you got for every then one other creature you have, you can Kit Kanto to Goad again. But what's actually, we figured, let's throw in some spicy win condition stuff here. Presence of Gond, it's an aura. For 3 mana, you're going to enchant Midnight Guard, or really anything. And now the creature taps to make a 1/1, but when Midnight Guard taps to make a 1/1, the 1/1 triggers and untaps him. So that's just infinite 1/1s.
Yeah, I mean, it's a mini win con that is just slotted into this deck with 2 cards that sort of already work with the deck.
How do we even know they work so well in the deck?
Well, that's actually because we used Maxfield.com, and we got to look at every single card in a layout that we absolutely love. They're just sitting on the screen. I can scroll through, see them in any order I like. I like putting them in the order of, usually I go by mana value. Sometimes I go by price if I'm trying to do specific things. Other times, I'm just like, let's go by just type. So, all that good stuff. Color, or if you want to see the balance of color in your deck.
You can even switch them around and go, I want to see each mana value by type. Or you could say, I want to see each type by mana value, and it's like, now we're talking.
Yeah, exactly. And this site is incredibly easy to use, intuitive. Literally, you can just be like, okay, I want to build a commander deck, like, brew it in my head. Well, instead of doing it in your head, go to Maxfield.com, and you will easily be able to navigate through this website and get to the point of like, oh, I'm just building a deck. And that took me like an hour instead of 2 hours of me writing stuff down on paper.
Oh, yeah, I used to use paper.
Yeah, BZ was a paper brewer, but I'm telling you, use Maxfield. If you're a paper brewer and you write down on paper, try Maxfield.com. You will save hours in your day.
Let's bring home the non-land changes with some ramp, removal, and card draw. We're going to cut Felwar Stone. It's a mana rock in a green deck, and we want creatures, and it's not a creature, and we know it's not even permanent ramp. Same with Commander Sphere. It's just like, this is not cards we're ever going to play in green decks.
Yeah, exactly. This is a green deck, very simple. We don't want 2 mana, 3 mana. We don't want rocks. It's just, we don't want mana rocks except for Soul Ring, which we will never cut. Fel the Mighty, we don't like this card at all. Too much of a chance for a blowout. You get 2 for 1, and it just feels absolutely horrible. It's like, I'm going to wipe the board. No, you're not. You're going to lose that creature.
It's just like 80% of the scenarios with Fel the Mighty are just not good.
Exactly. It's just not a good card. Bloodthirsty Blade, I think this is a lower power, maybe some like budget decks, but overall I'm not excited to play this card in most decks.
Even though it goads, it's not a creature, it doesn't help anything else we're doing, and it's only one a turn, and things could get weird with it. I'm not a fan. Boros Charm kind of goes with like Bloodthirsty Blade. These are like kind of removal spells. I don't know. It's really hard to place them anywhere, but this is like counter a board wipe. But we already have the Crescendo, which is like counter a board wipe, and it's an insane card. It doesn't have 2 other crappy modes.
Yeah, much better than this card.
Also, I just want to point out, Boros Charm only hits players. I did have somebody try to Boros Charm my creature the other day. Does not hit creatures, so it's terrible.
I think it does hit planeswalkers, but that doesn't matter.
Right.
It's not really important here. Outpost Siege, no. That's all I got.
Card draw? No, we can do better. Mages of the Wheel. When you activate Mages of the Wheel and you don't have that many cards in hand, it feels pretty good. But then, 6 turns later, when you lose the game, you might not know that Mages of the Wheel is why you lost that game.
Yeah, Mages of the Wheel is just a very inefficient rate for a wheel. You need something cheaper. This thing's not very good.
And this deck doesn't want any wheels at all.
So for the basics here, the bread and butter cards, type cards, the ramp, card draw, the removal, we added in, very simple, boring. Synergistic, though, mana dorks. We have Avacyn's Pilgrim, which taps for white. We have 2 of the 3 1-mana green elves. We did the Elvish Mystic this time, which is actually the most expensive of the 3. Mm-hmm. And Landwehr Elves, we left out Fintorn Elves because screw you, Fintorn Elves.
We don't need you. Generous Gift, we wanted to round out. This actually had some good spot removal, so we just wanted, hey, let's add another catch-all, make sure we can answer our stuff. Plus, with all the Seaboard Muses and stuff, I don't mind another instant. And for card draw, we had a Voice of Many, which is basically just 2 green, draw 3 on a 3/3 in this deck.
Yeah, exactly. It's a nice amount of card draw, and Mentor the Meek, because we needed to round out the card draw with something, and we didn't have much budget to work with. I think Mentor the Meek, especially when you're on a tighter budget, is a very good card draw engine.
With Dragonlair Spider, whew,
every time your opponent casts a spell, pay 1, draw a card. That's insane. Now, before we move on to the improving land section of this video, we got to shout out our generous patrons. Thank you all so much for supporting this channel. You guys are awesome. You give us direct support via patreon.com, and each and every one of these videos is not possible without your support.
Yeah, you can join them in the link in the description. Takes you to Patreon, find out some of the cool perks we got, or just enjoy the wonderful names scrolling before you.
Or if you really like typing in links, you could type in the link that's on the bottom of the card. Yeah. If you'd have to be, you'd have to be. I don't know.
It's just a very simple link though. You can just memorize it, go to the next tab, and just type it.
Yeah, that's. Yeah. All right. Let's move on because I am broken right now. We have to improve the lands. First, we got to cut some of the lands. The lands we cut were 2 forests, a mountain, and a plains. And if anybody, I haven't looked in the comments, but if anyone has complained that I don't show the mountain, the forest, and the plains, you know where the mountain, the forest, and the plains are. And if you don't, I don't even know how you're watching this video.
This is not the video for you.
Yeah, it seems like you're a little out of your element.
Yeah, we cut Cabaretti Courtyard. It's the slow fetch. Naya Panoramas, another slow fetch. We're adding in like good lands. We actually got to touch up the mana base for this one, so we're not putting in this like bulk bin, Precon level trade binder stuff. We got money to throw at this. Ash Barrens is kind of another similar pseudo fetch land. We have no synergy. We just don't need it.
Yes. We also added in for our removal spell. We added in Kabir Takedown. Nice MDFC. We're a go wide deck. Kabir Takedown goes in all your go wide decks except for maybe 4 or 5 color go wide decks.
Yeah, and then Gavany Township. Oh my. This is just nasty with Seaboard Muse. Counters on my team. Counters on my team. Counters on my team. You're dead.
I want to say something. This was in our final precon that we're going to talk about.
The brokers one.
It is very close on which one Gavany Township is better in. A go wide deck or a counters deck. It really depends. It's actually pretty dang close.
This go wide deck specifically, with how we built it, Gavany Township's way better. But in the precons, I'm not sure.
Yeah, with Seaboard Muse? Oh, yes.
You heard what I said, right?
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm just saying, like you said it, and then it clicked in my head. It's like, oh my goodness, Seedboard Muse. Yeah, that's insane with Gavany Township.
As for duels, Rockfall Vale is one of the cheapest versions of this Innistrad land cycle that's kind of expensive right now. So on a budget, I'd probably pick them up.
Yeah, it's hilarious based on which ones are played in standard, which ones aren't played in standard. You can just go, oh, hey, I can get this one, but I can't get any of the other ones because some of them are $7, $8.
I think this and Shipwreck Marsh are the only affordable ones.
Yeah, seriously. Battlefield Forge is like $1, maybe even less. So
Untapped duel.
Painland, baby, get in my deck.
And Sun Petal Grove, we're not being symmetrical with these ads, but we're being efficient on the mana base. Untapped duel, so much better than Ash Barrens or Naya Panorama.
We were kind of symmetrical. We added one of each dual type that we could.
That's true. I didn't even realize that. It was probably unintentional, too.
All right, final stats rundown here. $50 total budget, obviously. We spent $48.91. Damn. We're good. And our original mana value for this deck was 3.43, one of the lowest for these, but we actually lowered it all the way to 3.25, and obviously a total of 30 changes. This was one of my least favorites, I'll be honest, of these to upgrade. But know what was my favorite one? I think it was actually the Jund one that we did yesterday.
Riveteers?
The Riveteers. Jund, the Riveteers, whatever it's called. It's on the screen. You can't say I'm getting it wrong because you can see it.
And you can click it.
Or wait for autoplay. Peace out, Tribe Scouts.